Okay, take a seat, please. We're going to start right now.
The wrapping is about
We're here today to talk about agents. Wait a second, let's go right to the beginning. This is the summer of '69. That's the time when I was born and mankind took its first steps on the moon. But computers at this time looked a bit old-fashioned. Luckily, some years later, something really great happened. The desktop computer revolution started, and me as a young kid right inside of it. Okay, we had some crazy ideas about the possible futures with flying cars and time machines, but that's a whole nother story. Take a look back what happened since. We had some eras of IT, and starting with command line computing, desktop computing, finally mobile and distributed in the cloud like today. Paradigms changed a lot since then. And of course we had agents. Remember the guy on the left? This is Orson Welles in a famous plot right inside here in Vienna. And the times they are changing. And today we are entering the time of AI agents. This is what sci-fi movies always told us what we would end up, or perhaps it's just the beginning. Now we get all this AI magic. You read it every day on LinkedIn and elsewhere. RAG, agents, AI, MCP, wipe coding. And we will cover everything of this today. So be prepared. Welcome. My name is Marcel Mouret, French name but German guy. I'm into IT and FileMaker stuff for a very long time now. I did some presentations on other occasions here and on the other conferences. They are all still online, so if you're interested in, have a look at my blog. And together with Holger, he's over there, we do a monthly meetup for FileMaker enthusiasts. So if you like to join us as a guest or as a presenter, drop us a note. There's a website for this, and there are even about 400 write-ups of the topics we had since then. But today we are here to talk about n8n. So first, let me ask you, how many of you have ever heard of n8n? Please raise your hand. Oh, that's a lot. Great. And how many of you have ever used n8n so far? Oh, that's even a lot. So better. Okay, we start with a quick intro about n8n, what it is. For those of you haven't heard before, n8n is shortcode for n8n. It's a visual low-code platform. It's a startup from Berlin. Yes, even in Europe we have great startups. It's founded about 5 years ago by a guy named Jan Oberhauser. He needed something for himself and he built something. And lately it got up viral on all these channels as LowCode AI, and there's a special reason for that. We will dive into it in some minutes. And if you look at YouTube and all the other channels, there are tons of stuff, and it's evolving every day. It's so much speed in this topic right now. And it's a good reason for that, because n8n as a platform has over 1,000 integrations, FileMaker included. Yesterday I looked it up, 2,400 workflow templates that you can just grab from their website, put it into your own workflow. And they managed to get 100,000 GitHub stars lately, and that's quite a lot. They have great documentation, a broad community, like we here in the FileMaker space. So there are some forums, and you can reach out to find people working with n8n. n8n as a product is available as a cloud service. You can pay them to use it, just get an account and start, or you can do it on-prem. And now it gets interesting because there's free self-hosting available. It's not open source, but it's a fair code license, so you can just grab it, put it down on your machine or on a server. You can get up a Docker image in 5 minutes, up and running. I will show you how to do this. And it's a really easy entry for us to do something with this platform. So there are ready-made nodes for AI agents. This is quite a new thing. This is the reason because it grows so fast. Because all of the state-of-the-art models are available. You have OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, Mistral, Ollama, you name it. And they did a really clever integration of LangChain. We heard yesterday Nicholas was introducing this as a topic, and there's much potential in it because it supports vector stores. There are included nodes for CUDA, Pinecone, Supabase, and other options. And they provide a self-hosted AI starter kit that you can just download from GitHub with n8n included, CUDA included, Ollama included. So this is what Nicholas yesterday said. You can grab 2 million models from Hugging Face, put it on your machine, and start building. And n8n is a nice way of wrapping this up so it gets approachable for all of us. So we will start with some demos. I do this live on stage, and I would invite you to just lean back, pull a virtual cup of popcorn and enjoy. And if any questions come to you, please hold them back to the end. Let me show the demos first, and there will be a lot of questions answered already. And then I will wrap up, and finally we have time to discuss and answer all your questions. So thank you to make this possible. I will dive into 8 different topics with its demos. First is setup. I promised you to show how to set up a Docker image really fast. Then I do some n8n basics to make you give you an impression about the look and feel, what the platform is like. Then we look at integrations and even if the FileMaker integrations. I will show some prepared workflows and to show some things we can do with FileMaker and n8n in a simple way. And then we will expand this to RAG, because RAG is a very special theme. Like Nicholas told us yesterday, there's some knowledge involved behind the scenes how this works. Then we go to agents, and comes the interesting parts. I will show you some really nice examples. And finally, the latest thing is available since 2 weeks ago. They introduced MCP into this platform, and we could do some clever setup with FileMaker also. So let's have a start. What we have here on the right side is Docker Desktop. And we see an empty folder here. This is a local folder on my machine under the users. I have some subfolders, and one is called n8n demo. And what we do now is I prepared a kind of script. It's called a Docker Compose. Some of you might know this. It's some instructions for networking, for attaching some folder to as a volume, and some setup with domains and the internal routing. And I can run this right from, I use VS Code. I do a run now, and you will see some things happening here. On the right side, there will show up a new container in Docker, and look at this empty directory. There will also some things happening. So we see now we have a demo, n8n demo 1 is a container running, and the folder is populated with some data. This is what the empty setup uses to store its data. And if we go to the browser, I have a local host with a port address. There was no website before, but if I reload it now, there should be a login, and this is how n8n will present you when you first open a running server. So we put in some credentials here. I just provide my name, an email, and a password. To change this, autofill, make something happen. So I just click next. Then there is a kind of form you can fill out. We can skip this now. and even you would enter your email and send this because you get a key, and with this key you have a lifeline license to use n8n on your machine. I already have this key, so I will skip this now. But this was 3 easy steps, and now we are up and running. We have an n8n server in Docker now, and we can start building things. And we start from scratch. So this is the interface in the browser. We have a kind of working area here with this kind of empty node. And if I click on it, there's a panel where to find any things. I add a trigger. I can move it around. I can add some logic. I put some if statement here. There are some values I can set. I skip this. I go back to this canvas here and do another node just to show how this works. So we have a visual interface here to make things, to build things. I can save this, I can run this, and you see these green lines. So there, this workflow we just built with a few clicks was run now. I can double click and I can see some values here. And what it actually is, it's some JSON messages going through a pipeline from one node to the next node. And it looks a bit complicated for the first time you see it, but you will see in the demos a bit more sensible things and really understand it quick. What we have also is executions tab. So we just started this once. At the left side we see timestamp, and at the right we have these stripes in the background here. That means it is not the actual workflow we will see, but a virtual copy in a visual form, and we click any node and see what values were populated in the workflow when we run it at this time where the timestamp is. So if I run it again, we have a second log here, and so I can switch between the executions later and have a look into these logs. That's about the basic setup. You get this canvas, you have nodes, you can put them together, you can run them and save them. And what we actually have in this folder here is a kind of SQLite database storing all these workflows, the logs, my credentials, everything I need, so that it's not going away when I close the server, but that stays somewhere on my machine so I can start the server again and again and keep the data. So we have a look now at these building blocks. I told you about integrations. So this looks simple, but when I try to type, you see there's a whole catalog with integrations, and there are some well-known names here. I just type the letter G, and it's a long list. I type F-I-L-E, and some file things come up, even FileMaker. I can pull this in, and it has here some kind to build a credential. I enter here. We just heard from John OData and data API, so we can put in the host name here and a database name, login credentials, and we are connected with a FileMaker server. We see it in detail in another demo in just a few minutes. I just wanted to show you this catalog, and you name anything, I try to type in, and we can try to find anything. You have an example? For Microsoft, okay. Let's have a look. SQL, Teams, To-Dos, Outlook, anything you might think of. And it's really huge. There are more than 1,000 integrations, and there's also community nodes. It's a whole another catalog with thousands of integrations, and you can build them on your own. And if you have nothing at all, you can just use HTTP request. You can import this from curl, and it translates it into an API call, and you are up and running in a few seconds. So it's really easy to integrate, and that's the magic and power of this platform. And we will make some sense out of it right now. So this was just to show you how simple it is to make this server up and running. I can close it again. So I hope I find this now here. I have to find the file name. There's pop-up menu, compose down, and then it puts away all this kind running in the background. So the server is now gone. If I try to reload it, there will be nothing. But my data is still here, so I can spin the server up again and start over and have all my data. So we go over to the next presentation. What you see here is a little tiny FileMaker file. It's German Rechnungseingang, so it's kind of invoices. It's part of my my own accounting stuff. So when I get some invoices as PDF, normally I want to have this in my accounting, and in the former days I want to sit down and type it all over from the PDFs into my FileMaker file, and that's not a good way of doing this. So I thought there must be a better way. I dropped this in here. It's an MBS droplet plugin. We can have a look at the script. So we populate this list here, and what we have now at the left side is a webhook with a workflow, and the workflow will call Gemini 2.0 Flash. This is the model Google built, and it's good at OCR and reading PDFs. And I first had another workflow with OpenAI Vision API, but then I had to break up the pages, make OCR on the pages, and feed this in to the AI. And this is really simple because I just grab the PDF with multiple pages, feed it into Gemini, and get back a result. So what does it look like? I click the button here. Now there are some executions running. FileMaker called this webhook here. We can have a look at the executions and see that something is happening here. So we see there is a FileMaker OCR API running right now, and you see here the first thing is just populated. The next follows. The OCR is reading all these PDF files, get me back some data, and if we have a look at the data, we have to wait until curl is finished. We just heard this question before. You can put a timeout in curl option in FileMaker, so this one would only wait for I think 1 or 2 minutes, then it will break. So we have a bit slow VLAN here, but it does its thing. Just give it some more seconds. So you see one after another. If you're in a fast network, because there is some data transfer going on from FileMaker to n8n, from n8n to Gemini, from Gemini back to another node here in the workflow, and then back to FileMaker. So different parties involved. So last one. Look at the left side. There are different calls here. So we have 6 calls now with success. There's a runtime and an execution number. I could now click inside of it, and this is what I told you. I can see what goes in, what goes out. So I see here on the left side, there's my FileMaker. I got some file data that is base 64, base 64 of the PDF, and I inserted a prompt, and the prompt says what to do with this data. And we can have a look at the prompt here. This is summarize this invoice document. You are an expert extraction algorithm and only extract relevant information. And I put some extras here. I try to look at Umsatzsteuer ID number. It's imported in Germany as VAT number, and distinguish with invoice issuer and recipient. And if you have a valid Apple ID, then return Apple ID as customer numbers. So this is my basic rules. I gave the AI to do something. And what it gives me in return, we can now look inside the fields. We have this amount here, we have a date, we have invoice ID, we have the file, of course. Sometimes it gets me the customer numbers, and then I have another step in my workflow to put this into my accounting, and we are done. So it's really convenient for me to have this kind of assistant. It helps me with my accounting, and it's a good example how to integrate a local running FileMaker solution. No server involved here, just a local file. And if we want to look in the file, of course, there's n8n request here, URL here. What you see is I have a local subdomain that is mapped to my local machine. I have this webhook URL, and this is finally the UUID of the workflow. This is what n8n will give me. I can show you in the n8n part of it. So when we close this, go back here to the editor. Then we have a webhook, and you see there's a test URL and production URL, and this is just what I did in the insert from URL in FileMaker to reach this workflow. And then I can send over some data and map here what fields go into which fields in the workflow. So we keep it like this, just as an impression. We have some other demos right now. We will come to RAG. RAG is a bit special. So RAG in a nutshell. First, Nicholas explained it very good yesterday, so I repeat only a short part of it. We have to create some embeddings, but we will look into these workflows, how to create the embeddings. Then we fetch some results back later from the vector store, and then we feed our question together with these results that the vector store gave us into an LLM, and let the LLM decide something to do with it and deliver us an answer. As you might remember from Nicolas' presentation yesterday, you need to know some kind of strategies, and some things work very fine and some work not so well. So it's then a question of optimize and iterate for your example you're trying to solve. And I show you two different approaches here. I did some experiment. I started with Pinecone. It's a cloud service. It is a paid service, so I then decided to use Qdrant because Qdrant is open source. It's kind of embedding store similar to what we have in FileMaker now to store embeddings, but Qdrant does only embeddings and nothing else. And there are some other options as well. So you can choose your flavor of vector store that serves best your needs. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have all these MBS plugin documentation at hand so that an AI agent can read it and give me answers about anything I want to know about MBS. And what I discovered was there's a dash doc set inside MBS, and it turns out it is an SQL-lite database, so I can read this. I can put this doc set into my local folder. I can just then put a select on it and read name and type and path from this index. I try to execute this. So what it does, it gets back some 8,000 URLs for local files with all this documentation. I loop over all of this. I read the file that is attached to it. Then there's an HTML node to extract data. I extract the body and the text and some selectors to get an ID. I generate a new UID to later update it and put it into the Qdrant vector store. We can have a look at this. Here are some Qdrant. It's also running local in the same Docker setup. I have here the MBS functions. You see there are in this time 7,513 entries. This is what it looks like. This is the content. I feed it into it, then I feed it in some metadata, and finally I get some vectors. And here are some tools inside to visualize this. So finally, this is the 7,000 embeddings grouped by similarity. I can mouse over, and you see when I do it on things that are close together, there are similar functions inside the MBS documentation that has some similarity in a semantical way. So this is kind of a setup to make use of it. And Christian was so nice to give me a bit more input, so I could put something more into the vector store. So I got another vector store for all the blog that was published in the last year on MBS, and also all these user guides from Christian's website. So there's a lot of knowledge now in these three vector stores, and now we can ask our questions. There's kind of, we take this one. Now we have an AI agent. This is the guy here in the middle. And we also gave him some prompt to make sense out of our data. There are some rules, what the agent should do and what he should not do, and there's a list of all the versions. So we have some another level of metadata, and what it finally does is we can ask questions. We open a chat window here, and what function do I need to parse XML? Okay, I made a typo here. Let's look. So some magic is happening on top here. The AI agent is now talking to the model. It had fetched something out of the vector store, and now it provides us some answer. Here are the details on the XML parse function, and now we get things out of the documentation. It's really detailed. It tries to give us some links, so we can just click on a link and go on the website of MBS if we want to know more. And this is now really powerful because we have here 3 different vector stores, and the AI agent decides where to grab this information and how to stack it up. What these other nodes here are doing, they have the connection to the Quadrant server in the background, and a short description what these documents are about. And then I can limit what to do. I just get a list of results, and I limit the results to 20 here for the functions, to have a bunch of functions that should be related to my questions. And you can see the results here on the right side. If you look in the other, nothing happened. I tried to fetch 5 user guides, and from the blog, 10 blog articles. So perhaps we might ask another question. Was MBS on some events in the last year? Don't know if it works. We just give it a try. And now we can see, okay, it went to the blog to fetch some data. One item was returned. Here's a window buffer. This is our chat memory from all we have asked now. And okay, we get some answers. Yes, MBS was participated in several events. Here are some of notable ones: Engage You conference, of course, FileMaker conference. So the agent is now able to answer all our questions about MBS because we provided it such knowledge, and it lives here local on my machine. No data in the internet that has to be fetched, but everything is here stored locally. So just to give you an impression, we go a bit further because it gives us a nice option here to get a workflow and put it on a web interface. So we have this chat node here, and even this gets a chat URL, and we can just switch a button, make it public available. And what it does now, I hope I find this URL here. So it's a local URL on my subdomain. It's routed back from a webhook to my machine. And I can set up a logo type here, some colors, and a welcome message. And now I have a chat interface somewhere on my website, or perhaps on Christian's website in the next time. And then build me a script to parse out an invoice from Zug Pferd to JSON. Let's have a try, something complicated. And now the bot will ask our different sources together with its own intelligence, and tries to give us an answer. So he's thinking. There are these things here. Okay. He tries to explain something. You can approach like extract XML from PDF. There are a short example how to do it. Use XML functions to parse content, then convert to JSON. And it gives us the proper MBS functions together with some parameters, output JSON, and some relevant resources. It even gave us a resource to look up here, a Dyna PDF. There is a kind of example on the website of MBS. We can link to it, and there are some explanation of background information. So it's really powerful because we have a lot of information now in the doc set and in the blog, and we can ask it anything. And we will see in a later demo that we can even do vibe coding with it and really use the AI agent to provide us the power to build scripts upon this. So this was the RAG demo. I forgot something important. Just come back to the RAG because, as I told you, RAG, as many of these AI topics are a bit more in depth. You can make it running very fast. But you will notice that sometimes things do not work out the way you like it to. So in my first approach, I took an agent because it's easy to set up. We will see in a minute. I can attach all these vectors and chat input, and it does something. And later I learned, okay, there are better ways to do RAG because the agent has to fiddle out everything before going forth and back and fetching data, and it's not always the optimal route to do it. So later on I read about advanced RAG techniques on LinkedIn, and didn't recognize first how to do this, but then I just fiddled around with this n8n workspace, and what it basically provided as a suggestion was first look up all these data and then provide all these data at once to an LLM, so that the agent do not have to go forth and back and fetching every bit of data, and that gives the LLM much more cleaner input, and so we get better results. And this is the kind of learning that is not solved by n8n, but you have n8n as a simple platform to fiddle around and play with it. And if you read about a new approach to do something better, you can just do it. You don't have to code something and learn something complicated in coding. You can just go in the doing and prove that concept. And that makes it really powerful here. So we will see later with the agents how to do more. But next, let's have a look at the agents itself. We just saw this agent. It's a kind of node we can just drag in here from this side. There's even on top of it, there's this agent node. I can pull this in. We have already one here, and then we have three connectors. Okay, we have the trigger, and then we can connect to chat model. And what you see here, we have all the models provided as an option. So we have Anthropic, we have Azure, DeepSeek, anything, and we have Olama, and we have even OpenRouter. So we can choose any of it. I can just attach it. I need to provide some API key here to get some credentials. I already have some in the background, and now what I get next is all these models that are provided by these LLM providers. So I can choose from the old models, I can choose from the new models, I can take the most powerful. Opus 4 just was released some weeks ago. That is all approachable now with n8n. So we have a brain now, but the brain can't remember anything, and we can test it. I ask a question, how are you? Now it gets the question I ask, it sends it to the model, and it gives me back some kind of answer. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. So I want to do a ride in Vienna. So now it does its thing, but what I wanted to show you, if we have no memory, it won't remember what we asked the question before. So it will provide us some information now, and if I ask it where I am, it has no idea, because our chat has gone. He will answer something, but I don't have access to your location. So it will need some memory. We put in some memory here. There are many options to attach some database, but we have a simple memory here included. You can just say, okay, remember the last 10 questions in our dialog. I save this, and we try it again. I am in Vienna and want to see great stuff. And we let them do a thing, and you see it's a green line here to the memory. The memory already got our first question, and if we provide a second question now, it will remember what we asked in the first question. So it gave us some recommendations, and if it asks again where I am, hopefully it will say that we are in Vienna now. Okay, I see you in Vienna. So the memory worked. We have now a brain and a memory attached. And now we have a third option here to attach some tools. And now it comes interesting because we can attach anything. Any integration from other APIs or some local function or a call to a local service that we provide, like FileMaker. And we start easy here with the calculator tool. So now we gave it a calculator, and our model now can calculate. We try it. What is some complicated number. And now, hopefully, it will make use of this tool. The tool gets green, and let's look if we get an answer. So the sum of these two numbers is this. And now, as we are in this visual interface, we can double-click on the tool and see what was the query we provided in the first place. Here's our query as a JSON object. And this, on the other side, is the output, is the response that the calculation node responded. It had nothing to do with the AI. It's just this included node that could calculate. And we piped in a message, not we, but the agent chose to put in a message, just because he knows that there is something connected that has a name calculator. So on its own intelligence, it said, oh, if I have a calculator, perhaps when I get some numbers to add up, I can use this tool to get a response. So no setup, no prompting, no special parameters here, just putting some stuff up and look if it works. So we get an idea of this, and we can make it even going further. In the middle of our workflow, when we are still discussing with it, we change our model. So let's say we don't want AI from Anthropic anymore. We kill this connection, and we bring in OpenAI with GPT-04 Mini. Okay, that sounds good. And without saving, I asked it again about Vienna. Could you recommend a nice beer garden? And I don't say where it is. We assume that it still remembers from our memory that we are in Vienna. And now Anthropic is gone, but our memory is still there, and it answers Schweizerhaus and Wiener Walzhaus. So we can change everything and right in the middle of doing. And this is a lot of power, because normally you have to code a Python script and attach some API keys and do some versioning, and all this is taken away from us just by using this visual workplace here. So now we can think about what comes next and get some ideas how to make use of all this. Just to show the models again, we have here all these choices you have just seen, and we have OpenRouter. And OpenRouter is a cloud service. You can go into it. I have an OpenRouter account, and what they do, they are a kind of proxy for all models available everywhere that are in the hype cycle right now. So you can see there's anything, I didn't know what this all means. There are some crazy names you can search, the Chinese models perhaps. So DeepSeek is here, and they have the most latest version. If DeepSeek will announce a model today, this evening it will be available by OpenRouter, and n8n will have it in 3 days perhaps. So it's a really big choice that you can choose from here. And if it's not enough for you, you can connect Ollama. I didn't have set it up here to show it, but you know Ollama is a local wrapper for open source AI models you can download from Hugging Face, and then you have all these choices from Hugging Face with the help of Ollama here inside our setup. Okay, that is about agents. We forgot something, because there are other tools. We had FileMaker with this OCR thing, and now we can set up, let's say, Google Calendar. So let's have a look. We have an AI agent here with a chat model attached and a new node with a tool for Google Calendar. If we double click on it, we see that there is a Google account already set up here, the description to look up appointments and events, and we have some properties for the calendar node that basically says that it is connected to the Vienna calling calendar here, and we can see the calendar here on the right side in the browser window with some appointments for today and for yesterday. So let's ask our agent. We have the chat window here. What events are today? What we see now is that our agent is looking up with a tool call to Google Calendar. It resumes some results, and now
Here in the chat window we see a detailed list with information about our calendar events. We can go further. What events were yesterday? And it calls the calendar tool again and now gives us an answer that there's an event Heuriger Mut yesterday evening. So this is basically what is in our calendar, and we see the agent is able to look up information and retrieve the result to our chat. We go one further. There's another demo. We have some more tools here. Can zoom in to see that there is a tool to get events, to create events, and to update events. So let's have a try. We create an event for tomorrow, Sunday, 2 p.m. Travel to train station. The agent calls the create event immediately, and now we see there is a new entry here in the calendar. We can try to move it. Move travel event to 4 p.m. Perhaps we want to talk a bit longer here in the conference and or take a later train. So it gets an event, it updates an event, and now it moved our travel event from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
And what I wanted to show you, perhaps we try and it works anyway. If we are an agent, so give me.
It seems like you might be asking for a quote or inspiration related to dreams.
Give me all events from today.
One, backporting an invoice solution
Okay.
10 o'clock 2. Building AI agents with n8n and FileMaker 11 o'clock 2. Closing session 1300 hours.
Okay, but since we are agents, we want to have some nice gadgets, don't we? And of course, we are in Vienna. We call our agent Kotan. Kotan, make an appointment at 6 p.m. with James. Okay. There is a Siri connection. Siri understands my voice, translates it to text, sends the text to the workflow sends it to the agent connects to the calendar, makes some appointment, comes back with an answer, gives it back to Siri, and Siri talks to me and just says what it does. So these are some integration of other tools. We saw FileMaker OCR, we saw Google Calendar, and now we go to the last one. I have to spin up a FileMaker server in the background, and I hope he still remembers the IP address, because otherwise we will be lost. It looks good. So we go to FileMaker, and we have a database named people. Okay, there is a bunch of people that are just fake names. I made this last year at Engage You for another demo. And now we will do something. But first, I will introduce you to Claude. This is Claude Desktop. There's a special app you can download and install it on your machine. And what's new, Claude can involve some tools with MCP. So you go to a developer menu here, and you see it's already populated with two connectors. The connectors are in a local file configuration. You can look this up. It looks like this. There's basically some JSON with providing information about MCP servers. One is called n8n, the other n8n MBS, and there's a call to webhook, and then some instructions how to reach this webhook. So, and what it basically does, and I hope it works, I will start it once again. Perhaps sometimes the server should be available before we start some things. So there's this toolbox, and we see there is n8n MBS. This is the code assistant. This is a rag demo I showed you some minutes ago. And there is another toolbox with a calculator and some scripts, and we will see what they do. So here's our FileMaker database, and we can ask Claude now. Give me a customer address of Maria from Sweden. So if it works, it should now recognize that there is a function, and the function is a call to an n8n workflow, and the n8n workflow pulls data from FileMaker, and now it found some record, and he said, okay, there are two customers, one in Sweden and one from the UK, not Sweden. So it fetched some data in the background and made right away some sense out of it. And I can ask it, did she have any invoices? So, and there's nothing behind the scenes with business logic, just two connectors to do different tables. And if we look here, there's the invoices list. And now the LLM, the agent, figured out, okay, she had some invoices, some of them were paid, some were not paid. It calculates an amount of the open and paid invoices. And so it's quite huge without giving it any advice. No scripts involved, no prompts involved, just MCP, the power of MCP. The agent knows what tools are available, and I show you where these tools come from. We have some workflows here. We have here find people by name. And when executed by another workflow, then just connect to FileMaker server, go to the people layout with a limit of 150 records, do a find. We do a query with data API on the name and on the last name, and then it gives us some results. I just opened the executions here that you can see it working while we are asking. And we go a bit further. So we know she had two invoices. What products did she buy? And we have no function here for looking up products. So the LLM is intelligent enough to look up the invoices and get the line items and just bring us back all these products in the line items, and even knows that there are some numbers attached to it. Okay, she is not paid her invoice, so maybe we should send her an email. Please send her a nice reminder for the open invoices. And now if it works, he puts up some text for an email, and here's the connection to Google Mail, and now the LLM will provide some mail for us, put it in the drafts folder, and here's our email. Dear Maria, with all these invoice line items, and we didn't write a single line of code, just the power of AI agent. Okay, we go one further. What is the latest customer in our list? There's no function for this as well. The LLM could only search by names or like wildcard, or search by ID. So it has to figure out how to find the last customer. And he found it. It's a guy from Vienna. Okay. What products did he buy? Okay. Looks it up. We can see it perhaps here somewhere. It queries the customer ID because it remembers, okay, this was this guy with this customer ID. It looks up two invoices. Okay, he bought a beer glass and a beer. It's nice. And he even said, okay, for someone from a company called Biro Sophie KG, which suggests a beer-related business, both transactions have been completed successfully. And the LLM is reasoning about our customer now, and provides us some additional info. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. And we have an agent. Okay, let's make up a meeting with him today at 7 p.m. for a drink. Send him an invitation. Let's try this one. So we have a calendar here inside, And he looks up some dates. Okay, there's our meeting at drinks meeting with Anton Füllweger, and he should have provided an invitation email. This is here. Oh, the first one. Dear Anton, I hope this message finds you well. Would like to invite you for drinks this evening to celebrate our business relationship and get to know each other better. Given your company's expertise in the beer business, I thought it would be perfect to meet over some quality beverages. Here is the meeting details, and the appointment was already put into our calendar without any scripting, just the power of MCP and LLMs. And isn't it crazy? Yes. So you might wonder, that looks like magic. How does it work behind the scenes? So here comes the technical part. We saw n8n as a platform. n8n as a foundation is a kind of Node.js thing. You may know other things like Node-RED. It's a bit more like Node-RED, but in the basics, it's just nodes which send JSON objects from one to another. And it has some local storage. We saw this folder in the beginning where all these our workflows and log files are stored. And then the basic commands are, we have triggers. We saw these triggers when we clicked on. We can set up timer triggers. We can set up called by another workflow. We have these webhooks as a trigger. And then there is the APIs to make something happen. So we have these messages piping around and get called from somewhere and call other things. Then in the second incarnation, there were AI agents. And how did this happen? We heard yesterday about LangChain, and LangChain is a kind of framework to instruct agents. It has three components. It can talk to LLMs, of course. It can talk to vector stores, and it can like orchestrate tools. And the tool part is now n8n. So this was a very clever move from n8n to integrate this, because it takes away the pain from us. We don't have to understand how all this works. Some magically way it works. We just put some Lego bricks on this playground and start playing around. And now we got a third incarnation with the introduction of MCP. So what they did, they provided us two new tools out of the box. One is an MCP server. That it was the last demo we just seen some minutes ago. We provided our workflow with a wrapper of an MCP server to a different tool, what was Claude. And Claude was able to look up our tools by name and make some sense out of it. And we even get MCP client node to talk to other MCP servers. And there is going a lot of hype around all in the internet about MCP servers. And you can imagine a lot of stuff is available now. So this is what it looks like. This is the platform. And you can do things locally. As we saw, we had local FileMaker involved. We had FileMaker server involved. You can do things remote. We had this Google part with the calendar and the email. And so this is awesome, because it is a toolbox we perhaps ever have dreamed of. And now, how to cook up an agent. You need some ingredients. We have seen this before. We need an integration platform. This is what n8n gives us. We need workflows to make some things happen. It's also included in n8n. Then we need tools. We have seen these API integrations with 1,000 tools out of the box already delivered. You can attach anything you can dream of. Then we have LLMs, and just a bunch of flavors of LLMs, not just one, we can choose from. And then we need prompts. And prompts is the real basic source here, the secret sauce, because the agent itself will do some basic things, but if it comes to your special use case, you would like to provide the LLM with what is your goal, how is this to be solved, and the better are your instructions, the better the agent will work in the end. And you will also say what not to do. You don't want your chatbot to give some answers about crazy things. You will narrow it down to just your documents when it comes to look up information. So the prompting is where your coding is going on, but you do not do this in a coding language like we are used to as developers, but you do it in natural language. You just tell the agent what to do, and then he will understand. And it's not even bound on the language. You can make it in any language, in German, English, everything. And so it's a really powerful instrument to instruct your agents. Finally, you need some kind of interface to your user, like we saw with this chatbot demo, or to another application, like we saw with the FileMaker OCR sync, so that the data can go somewhere. And how to do the cooking now? We know the ingredients. So we have n8n and we have FileMaker and some tools. We put a workflow on top of it. That was our Lego playground. We have all these connectors. Then we can add an AI model to get an agentic workflow. And we can go even further and put an abstraction layer on top of it with the power of MCP, and just define an endpoint with a semantic meaning, and add an AI model with reasoning. And we yesterday heard from Nicholas that there is no real reasoning in AI, but there's kind of reasoning. Even it's not real, it is working somehow. And so some topics can solve really well today with things that are available. And we can even add other tools with other connectors outside of our own workflow. And so we have this technically concept of a container where our platform lives in. And we have a semantic view on this. What is our agent? Our agent could be just in the platform, on local servers or on cloud servers. It could be distributed. It could be anywhere. It's just a kind of definition that we give it a name and a URL, how to call it, and then the agent can do something. So the key takeaway for you today here is AI is a crazy beast. It's not quite predictable. You get some outcome, but you cannot be sure. Will it be good? Will it be bad? We have learned yesterday that there are a lot of topics inside. RAG is quite complicated if you dive deep into it. Even other topics involved, it needs a bit learning. But what n8n Toolbox enables you to harness all this power in some way and get on top of it, so you can start using it. When I heard in the last year's conferences all these pretty deep talks from Nicholas, from Ian, I was so impressed, but I did not know what to do. I asked myself, oh, should I learn Python now? Should I learn how to integrate LangChain in my FileMaker environment? So many question marks. And finally, I stumbled upon n8n and just got started. And all this technical, difficult part was abstracted away, and I just can learn about concepts. And this is what I give you now for tips from my learnings is experiment a lot, use it as this playground to build quick prototypes, and get deeper understanding of AI principles while doing this. Because you read something interesting on LinkedIn and say, oh, this could work. And then you put up n8n and click a workflow together and make a test, and another test, and then you get it and say, this is the kind of thing I want to have, and this is really working. So build your own tools, extend your existing solutions like you saw with the OCR, or perhaps you want to say, send emails to your customers or read emails into your system or whatever, and get inspired by the crazy stuff from others, because there's tons of stuff and you won't believe it what other people do. Because we are technical people and developers, we think in a special way. But out there are many people that aren't developer, and they do very crazy things with this kind of stuff, and it's amazing. And you get new ideas when looking at them. So to get you started right away, you can download all these slides. I assembled you a list of references. There's the official website. You don't need to take photos. You just get it as a download, and everything is inside and even more. So n8n itself, it's well documented. It has a big community. There are blogs, there's GitHub, there are starter solutions to download and write start away. There's a nice interview with Jan Oberhauser. It's 4 years old, but he was very foresighting to what this platform could mean, and he was right. Then when it comes to deployment, you have a lot of options. You can go to the n8n cloud without any effort. You can do the self-hosting things like we saw it with Docker. There are even managed services for spinning up Docker images like Elestio or DigitalOcean. and they have also docs included. So you have a really good starting point to manage this in 5 to 20 minutes to get your own instance running. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube. Have a look, you will find something, I promise you. And then finally, the YouTube hype. There's an official channel, n8n channel, with Max Chuck. He is a promoter of n8n. You will see and love him. He's a crazy guy, and he was a designer who made up this interface from n8n, but now he's on YouTube and social media and talk to people and show what's possible with the platform. And then there are all these other crazy guys. Some of them are developers, some are marketing people, some are SEO people, and you find really, really crazy, amazing stuff that you thought it would never be possible, but it's possible right now. And some is hype, okay, and not all things will work out in production, but get inspired, have a try. So, now it's your turn. You got all this input, be creative, build something, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I'm an idea for myself and the rest of this. I have an idea for agent myself. I was thinking if I send you the vectors of all the contents of my laptop, the project I've been working on, techniques, 30 years of email and etc. I build an agent which gives me every day in the morning and asks the question, what should I do today, or what should I do with the rest of my life?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but then the question is it looking at the past, because it looks at my computer, so I'll stay at the past, and how can I get it integrated to a fantastic future?
Yeah, this is the right question. What comes next? And what comes next is all the big companies are working on exactly that. Apple is working on it. Google is working on that. They showed 2 weeks ago on their conference how it might look like with glasses and voice and anything attached, and a local memory of all your thoughts and visuals, and it's crazy. But here in n8n, you can, it depends what do you want to attach, and you can attach a lot with MCP. There's a Google model that is capable of viewing your screen and advising you and answering questions and doing real-time OCR on all your screens and understand what you're doing. So you can even attach something like this and makes descriptions. You can attach your Zoom calls and give it transcriptions of your latest meetings, and they will put it in some store. There's a lot possible.
And can you predict what I should do so that I will do?
Try to build a workflow and you show it in the next conference here, okay?
So last year at FMP, I also did a talk about RAG and how to do better RAG than not RAG. And I think maybe people didn't know what RAG is and they didn't attend or whatever. But in the last year, there's been several papers that have come out regarding when you have a model that knows a lot about something, and then you have documents that are also about that same something. Sometimes it won't use the information from the document. So for instance, a general model knows a lot about Vienna, but maybe you have documents where people have reviewed the different sites and said, hey, this isn't worth some money, you know, it's this or that. The model will probably take, or the LLM will probably take what's from the main model versus the RAG, because that would have more hype. You know, it'll have all the marketing and all the hype. And so the same thing with like what he was talking about with himself, right? So if he was a celebrity, there'd be all the stuff out there of the celebrity, and then he would have his own docs and his own thing, and it would take whatever is the most, yeah. And so there's some nuances to that. You can look up, some papers about that, but it's kind of interesting. And so with MBS, it was specific knowledge. The model didn't know anything about it, so of course it used that knowledge instead.
Yeah, I missed some. You're totally right, Heidi. Thank you for this. But to answer your input in a way, with n8n, you are free how to instrument this. And people are stacking up agents with different knowledge sources. You can plug in Perplexity and does real-time web research and put answers in. It's up to you now to create a logic how these agents could combine their knowledge to best provide your business question or whatever this is. You can pull in local storage, you could pull in sources from the web. You're free to define it. So it gives a lot more power than just doing it one style with one kind of model that is available. Yeah. And I had some demos here, but the time is not enough to show it for vibe coding with this MBS. So you can tell MBS agent, okay, build me a custom function to do OCR on a business card and provide me the JSON, and it put 30 calls with some crazy regEdit logic in just one custom function, and it works. And it's so amazing what these new models like Claude are capable of doing. It's very new. I have experimented just a little, but I was blown away. Just the new Claude 4 model is so powerful when it comes. It knows FileMaker meanwhile. Philip asked yesterday if we could make it work. Look at Claude 4. There's a lot included from the FileMaker side. If you did it with ChatGPT a year ago, it will give you a bunch of JavaScript or something, but it's really on the point now. And even MBS is included somehow in the Claude model already, but if you provide your own information in a structured way, it will be more advanced. So yeah.
It's tricky where there's some nuances of where it picks up the ground and where it picks up the
But it's evolving so fast.
As I understood, this problem that is well known is the same problem that you have in a mixture of experts. You mean you have different LLMs and you have to decide what is the best. And this is what you do. You have another model that is a router model that is the one that you train in order to decide what is the best. Is, let's say another is more is another model that has to be trained to decide what is the best solution, and depending on what are the topic or what is the way they have to tell. But this is a little bit more complicated, but it's another training in those platforms. And it's something that you say it's difficult, but you have to, let's say, leverage a little bit, you know, the model. But that's all.
And when you do it yourself, you have another option. That's totally right what you said, Niklas. And what people are doing right now with n8n, they're building groups of agents with different agents that provide the same question to 10 different agents. There are iterations inside, there are wrappers, and you have the power to fine-tune with your system prompt. So you can do a lot of concept into a system prompt and provide this army of agents, and there's a lot of power also right now. But you're right, it will depend on better models and better building blocks available in some time.
Yeah. Kind of competing.
Yeah.
So the best competition, they give the feedback is that work is the best for the kind
Yes,
of
exactly. And you could stack it up in n8n with just a few clicks and try it. Yeah.
No actual question, but you said crazy guys out there. You're definitely most of the one craziest I know about, like taking all the time, because that's crazy, and giving it away to us. Thanks a lot, Marcel.
Absolutely, certainly.
Any more questions?
Really simple one.
Yeah. Go for it.
What does MCP stand for?
It is Model Context Protocol or something like that. It's a kind of standard how to talk to an agent. Anthropic introduced it in November, and all the other companies are now jumping in, and MCP is the latest hype, and so we just saw it working here on this machine right here in this room, and can't believe that it works.
It's like the brain on top.
Yeah. We ended here with some tunes, and if you have more questions, ask Kotan or meet us at the coffee box outside. Thank you.